Good morning. I am just here eating my breakfast. I will not be eating all of this steak in one sitting, but I have some, you might not be able to see it here. I'll put it on the side, but I've fried up some extra in the air fryer, some fat trimmings there. I already ate one, so one down, but it was probably a couple ounces. This is about a 15.5 ounce ribeye that I will not be eating all right now. I'm just gonna cut it up because I'll eat it throughout the day. And I plan on pouring the rendered fat from the trimmings and the steak over the remainder of what I have that I'm gonna put in the refrigerator. I tend to just eat that cold. And a couple tablespoons of ghee and a couple eggs. But I'm just here and just thinking about an incident that I've experienced in the last couple days that is sort of like an unfortunate situation that really has created an opportunity for reflection and to see kind of how far I've come, not only with my way of eating, which has been mostly animal-based with small amounts of plant foods, very ketogenic. I've recently been very high fat, hence the extra ghee on my plate. So it was an unfortunate event. The other day I fell at the pool. I was with my daughter and my husband, and it was kind of a silly situation in that the lifeguard had actually left she was tending to the filter, those little, just the area on the side of the pool, just like you see the little circular covers where the filter was inside there. And she had stepped away for a minute, probably, to grab something, and left the lid off. And so there's just like, the hole there. And I was walking, I noticed it, but then my husband, I was holding a pool noodle and he's like, hey, can you throw me the pool noodle? So I'm still walking. I go and I'm throwing it. I'm checking to make sure that he's catching it and getting it okay in the pool. And I'm still walking while my leg goes down I step down into the hole. It like gets caught on something in there in the bottom of my foot. And the impact was really hard. And then I completely fall forward. So I like it was my right foot that went in, and then it was like went down, the hole was as deep as like up to my knee. So then I fell, and then my knee hits the side of the hole, and I scrape up the left knee and the top of my left foot, and it was just, on my hands and knees, and it was a total wipeout. Unfortunate. So the last couple days I haven't been really able to put much weight on that right foot. It was cut up, in addition to now it's like pretty bruised. And so it's so layered, but like I've learned so much from this situation. And really the number one thing that it's given me an opportunity. And so this is something that I've been practicing gratitude for years now. And also practicing the idea of like when situations come up that are unfortunate, whatever they might be. We've dealt with a lot of financial struggle. My husband was unemployed for a little while during the pandemic. And, my daughter's dealt with some health challenges. And there's all of these things where in hindsight, you can look back and say like, wow, I can really see, why that happened, and the whole idea of like things turn out for the best, and we always have learning experiences, right? And so I've grown to get into the practice of immediately, rather than it being a hindsight thing, to, despite the emotions in the moment when you go through some sort of a struggle or have a sort of like semi-traumatic, injury or whatever, is like, what do I have to learn here? Where is the lesson? And where is the opportunity to grow here? And so one thing with this that I realized is that my regular practice of gratitude, which is something I try to practice every morning or sometimes before I go to sleep, where I'm asking myself, if it's at the end of the day, it's like, what went well today? Let's look at, and I encourage my clients to do this. If you're just watching this for the first time, I am Tiffany Brown, and I'm a certified health and life coach. And I help women with fat loss and heal their metabolisms and balance their hormones and all that good stuff through ancestral diets, nutrition movement, and lifestyle. So through this regular practice of gratitude and what went well, I've kind of reprogrammed my brain, right? And so when I fell and when I got home, of course I'm like, I have my daughter and my husband there, and and they were there with me when it all happened and helped clean me up. There were some issues with the first aid kit being pretty lacking. It was kind of like a really bad sort of setup for that. My husband really was supportive, and my daughter just like snapped into like, just being helpful, which was like, so I'm looking at all this unfold and I'm like, wow, I'm just so grateful for my family. I'm so grateful that they're supportive, that my daughter just really took kind of responsibility, ownership, and making sure I was okay. It was a really beautiful moment to see her kind of step up in a situation, and to just feel really fortunate that I, wasn't alone. And also, I had my earbud in, but hopefully this isn't disrupting the sound on this. But I, kind of then getting into the carnivore diet, the way that I've been eating, and just kind of the way that I've been moving my body over the last few years. So I'll kind of like put the gratitude thing aside. So that was one thing where it's like, wow, I have this opportunity to see how reprogrammed I am, in that like my mind just went straight to gratitude. Like, what am I learning from this situation? What am I able to observe through this situation? And so there was like nothing but gratitude there, and then just gratitude for my body. So kind of then also moving into my practices of showing up consistently, right? So when it comes to movement, it's not about pushing yourself every workout, and it's certainly not about, all of the aesthetic changes that you want to achieve. It's about longevity and continuing to have a strong body, and then through the ways that I've been eating, bringing down my inflammation, and pushing these, higher ketones and things where my body, I've dealt with really like bad low back issues. And I had a moment, again, this is another mindset thing. I apologize, I'm jumping around, but my first thought was like, oh shoot, because the impact, what that would have done to an old version of my body, is like, it would have thrown my back out. I would have had so many issues, and probably my neck, the impact of like falling. And I just told myself, no. I initially had the thought of like, oh shit. And then I was like, no, I have a strong body. I have a strong, capable body. My body is capable of healing. I'm in a really great state metabolically and with my inflammation, and I am super strong and stable around those injuries now, and I'm going to be fine. And so I chose that thought over the fear of like, and even, because in my knee, I was like, what's happening? And is this going to affect my, my ability to work out, or my job, working and doing massage, all of these things that initially wanted to flood in. But I was able, because of my regular practice of shifting my thinking, I chose different thoughts. I intentionally chose those thoughts of like, no, my body is thriving. It is strong. This is why I do what I do every day. I eat this way. I choose to move my body in a way. I got my circadian rhythm in line. I am grounding. Like all of these things, I do them to create a strong, capable body in these situations. So I really had an opportunity to see how well my body was doing. So to kind of get into the keto carnivore thing, what I found really interesting with this, so in these couple days out, and even just like the next day, I had no pain. I had no soreness throughout my body. When you go through a big impact like that and everything kind of braces, and, or you just have obviously like just tension and things like that. And outside of just where my body actually hit, like, yeah, where I landed on my knee, and I have cuts on my knee and my foot, and then on, on the bottom of my foot on the other side is like bruised and my knee is swollen, but like my joints are fine. My low back, no pain. The muscle sore, I have no muscle soreness. So besides like where I had impact, I have no issues. And I am going to the chiropractor today as just sort of a precautionary thing. But I really feel great. Like, and I stretched that afternoon. I made sure to stretch yesterday, but yesterday I did 5.5 hours of massage. I had to show up in crutches, just for like the long distance of walking. I didn't have to use the crutches I could kind of shift my weight and stay off the foot while I was doing massage. But I did 5.5 hours back to back on my feet doing massage. And then, of course, my husband had to leave town the following day. So I'm solo parenting with my daughter. So once I picked her up, we sort of laid low, but I still had to, handle all the things around the house and be walking around, and I was on crutches and whatever. I woke up this morning not sore, like it's at all. So I really think a lot of that has to do with the way that I've been eating. So again, through this tough situation, I'm really like, oh, this is just an opportunity for me to see all of the work that I'm doing and to just amplify my why of what I do, because I know I've been in, I've had falls and injuries and things like that over the years when I was eating like more of a carb heavy diet, eating a bunch of foods that were triggering inflammation in my body. And certainly, times when I wasn't weightlifting and things like that, where my body would have been a mess. Like, I know this would have been a problem. And, causing major issues with like my low back and my neck, like I mentioned. And I have none of that. So I just wanted to share that testimony of the power that I think this way of eating and lifestyle and, incorporating movement. Ladies, women, if you're watching this right now and you feel like, say you're trying to shift your way of eating, you want to lose fat, unless you really have some major restrictions because of the current state of your body, that's totally understandable to just get going on nutrition first, but get that movement in. Start lifting weights, even if it's not super heavy, and do it consistently and just get in the practice, even if it's, not super heavy lifting at first. We need this for our bones. I mean, for all I know too, I could have ended up with some sort of a fracture in my foot. So far, it doesn't feel like that's the case. But I know that I've been working, I've seen in in some of the body scans that I've done that I am gaining body mass outside of fat and muscle. So I am gaining in other tissues, which I'm going to say, like my bones could very well be building up quite a bit with this way of eating, and just with my, with strength training. So these are all essential for our ability to thrive. So when these situations come up, we can be resilient. And, I'm 43, I'm, going on 44 this fall, and feeling great. I have no perimenopause symptoms. I was dealing with those and PMS and things like that before, irregular periods. And I am smooth sailing now. I can really officially say my moods are stable. And so even through this whole situation, and being in pain and whatever, like mentally, I am responding to this differently. So when it comes to the fat component, like get that fat in and get those ketones going, because you will be more mentally stable and better able to navigate these kinds of situations when they come up. I'm seeing a difference in that too. So I just wanted to share. I'm excited, actually. I'm like, I can barely walk, but I'm super excited. And I just know I'm on the mend and my body is strong. It's capable. I want you to repeat, let that be your mantra. Take it, steal it. That, my body is strong and it is always healing and knows what to do. Our bodies are intelligent. So, I can honestly say this whole experience has been kind of cool. But if you want to keep following along on my journey, I've been sharing my health journey. I'll be sharing more videos on sort of my improvements in my symptoms, and my sort of like higher fat, lower protein experiment that I'm doing right now, which is I still around 100 grams of protein. So it's not like, in that 60, 75, 80 gram range. I'm still eating a decent amount of protein, but a lot of fat. So I'm getting real deep into ketosis, and it's been really interesting. So I'll be sharing more about that. So be sure to like this video if you did like it. It really helps my channel grow and for more people to kind of see my story, and definitely check out my channel and subscribe if you're wanting to stick around and see how I'm doing, and to check out the educational content that I offer. I'm also planning on offering more with like nervous system regulation, EFT tapping, some meditations, things like that too. So that's all. I hope you'll enjoy your day. Share in the comments if you've had these experiences or if this inspired you at all. Let me know, like, how has your journey been going, and seeing, sort of the mental shifts, mindset shifts that you've made, the benefits you've gotten from all that. Please leave it in the comments or just say hi. All right. I hope you all have a great day.